Hello everybody and welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. And guys, if you've watched us before, you'll know that we've been keeping you up to date with all the latest confirmed transfers and transfer rumours. Well, I wanted to do a bit of a different video today. I've been missing doing my EFL Championship weekly predictions. So I thought I'd do a video today talking about 10 players that I believe anyway are good enough to step up into the Premier League this summer. Guys, before I jump into the video though, as always, help me out, hit that like button and please do subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I'm going to be keeping you up to date with the latest transfer activity as well as lots of general football content. So let's waste no more time. Let's jump into the video. And the first player I wanted to bring up was obviously no shock, Diaz. And of course, he seemed to get a bit better last year after changing his name to Diaz. Obviously, he started his career just as Ben Brereton, didn't he? And in fact, he had a fantastic season last season, scoring 22 goals in the Championship. Now, there's already been a host of clubs after Ben Brereton. It's been Everton are probably the one that have been heavily linked so far with him. I think I could see him making a move this summer. It'll be a tiny bit risky. Of course, he had a really good season last season, but the one before that did only bag 7 goals. But obviously just 23 years of age, also linked with Leeds and Bournemouth. I do fancy him to make the move this summer. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe he only has 12 months left on his contract. But guys, there's another striker I wanted to throw straight into the equation. And I've got to be honest, if I had to pick between the two, I'd probably go with this man, Joel Pyro, of course, the Swansea City striker, which had a fantastic first season with the Swans. In fact, he scored 22 goals and 6 assists in his first campaign in English football, and he was only signed for £1 million. I'm sure Swansea fans will feel they're going to make a real profit on him, but more ideally, they'll be wanting him to stay this summer, because you really do feel if he does stay with the Swans, then, you know, they're in for a really good campaign next year. I do think he'll keep pushing on, and I think he might even bag even more goals next season. But so far, he has been linked with a move to Leicester, but back in May that was, and he did kind of swipe that off a little bit, saying he wasn't really focusing on that at the moment, and he was happy at Swansea. But as we know, money can talk, and you know, not just for the player himself, but obviously also, you know, if a big bid came into Swansea, are they in the position to reject it? It's an interesting one to monitor, but I do think he'd be a fantastic signing. And as I said, I actually think I'd go for him over Ben Brereton, if I've got to be completely honest. Now, this is a bit of one there where I could see a bit of debate on this one. Of course, I'm talking about 24-year-old centre-back Dale Frye. He plays for Middlesbrough. I think he'd be a great addition to the Premier League. Of course, a Middlesbrough graduate. Middlesbrough missing out on obviously promotion and the playoffs. I believe they missed out on the playoffs the last day of the season, but he was a real star for that Middlesbrough team. I honestly think this is someone that, you know, there's a hard hunt to get defenders in this summer. A lot of clubs are needing defenders, and I really do think this is someone that obviously clubs should look at. I think he'll do absolutely fantastic in the Premier League. He has the advantage of, obviously he's right-footed, but he can play on both sides of the left centre-back and right centre-back position as well. So that comes at a massive bonus as well. He'd probably also do well in a back five. I really do think this could be a good signing for a Premier League team. Maybe not one that everyone agrees with, but I do think he's definitely Premier League level. Let's talk about this man. Obviously, for me, he was the goalkeeper of the year last season, Nichols, 29 years of age, goalkeeper for Huddersfield Town. He was absolutely brilliant throughout the season, to be honest. And I think the only thing that might put Premier League clubs off is maybe his age. But to be fair, at 29 years old, you can get a lot of service still out of a keeper. It's not like other positions where they start going at, like, I don't know, 31 or 32. Keepers can play to 35, 36, especially in this day and age with all of the sports science. But I have to say, I was really impressed with him in the last season for Huddersfield Town. I think he was the best keeper in the league, I've got to be honest. And because of his age, maybe it could be a really good option. I think there's a couple of teams that could improve their first team keeper. I do think he would slide into certain teams as first choice as well. Maybe someone like Crystal Palace instantly comes to mind. I think it would be a really good signing. At the moment, not being linked to someone, but it wouldn't surprise me if things do pop up because he was absolutely fantastic last season. I think he's made for the Premier League personally. So let's talk about this man now. Obviously, Keane Lewis Potter. He's been in the news quite a lot because he's getting linked to quite a few clubs. I think Everton were linked, but the one real link which is coming up at the moment is West Ham United. Now, West Ham, obviously, last time they went and got someone from Hull, ended up an absolutely fantastic success. Obviously, talking about Jared Bowen. I think this would be an absolutely unreal signing. I do. I think he's going to be absolutely superb. The England under-21 international was a real talent for Hull last season. And he's very good at playing in multiple positions across the line, basically. He can play as the left wing. He can play as an attacking mid. And he can also play a few games out on that right-hand side as well. He's very diverse, which I think would attract a lot of teams. Just 21 years of age at the moment. I think someone should go in and sign him. It's questions whether he should then be loaned back out to the Championship maybe for another year to build on his experience. But I think teams should strike early because if they don't, I think they're going to miss out on a real talent. And I think it's only a matter of time before we do see him in the Premier League. He's made for the Premier League. I think he could possibly be good enough now, but it wouldn't surprise me if someone did bring him in, give him a season-long loan, get some more experience out on loan at a Championship club, and then bring him back into the picture next year with some more experience. Let's talk about this man, because obviously this Sandersburge, of course, had a 35 million release clause, which I believe is still in place at the moment. And it was thought that this was a release clause that could have been activated, of course, when Sheffield United went down last season. He was heavily linked with a number of clubs. And to be honest, I'm so shocked that he hasn't made the move yet. Of course, some teams rather may be put off by the release clause. I'm not saying he's a £35 million player, but what I am saying, I'm surprised that no bids have been made to secure his services. I think he would improve a lot of teams, especially those that play a three-man midfield. I think he would be an absolutely fantastic addition to a number of Premier League clubs. And me as a Wolves fan, actually, I'd love to have him. I think he would really improve our team. And I do think he's someone that's made for the Premier League. If Sheffield United can keep hold of him, it's a massive bonus because I'm guessing that they'll be wanting to push on and get one better from their playoff position last season and actually convert that into moving back up to the Premier League. And if he doesn't leave for the Premier League, I think having a player like Sandersburge will put basically Sheffield United in great stead to do so. So let's move on to, obviously, this is a bit of an obvious one, but I feel if I didn't put him in the video, I'd probably take a few pelters. Jed Spence obviously had absolutely fantastic season at Nottingham Forest. And of course, Forest went up, but technically Spence didn't because he obviously was on loan from Middlesbrough. He's going back to Middlesbrough, but has been heavily linked to a move to Nottingham Forest. I think the player himself wants that move as well. But there are a few other parties involved. Man United have been mentioned and Spurs have been quite heavily linked with making a move for him. I think he's a fantastic player, I really do, and he's made for the Premier League. He'd excel in a back five, to be fair, or back three, whichever you want to call it. And of course, that's what he did at Nottingham Forest under Steve Cooper, playing in that, I suppose, the right wing back. Obviously, Forest playing the back three. I think he's made for that position. He gets up the pitch so fast, and the quality of the balls he puts in as well are absolutely fantastic. He's a player that's made for the Prem. It would make sense for Forest move, but watch this space because other Premier League teams are considering a move for him as well. So this is a bit of a one that probably wouldn't jump straight to mind when people are thinking of players that possibly deserve the move. But I think this is someone that definitely does. Of course, I'm on about Victor Gyökeres, might have pronounced that slightly wrong, from Coventry City. The attacking midfielder had a brilliant season last year, scoring 17 goals and 5 assists. Interestingly, Brighton let this guy go. I believe it was only for £1 million in that region to Coventry just 12 months ago. I think he really is a Premier League player, and I wouldn't be surprised if Brighton are regretting that decision because he was absolutely fantastic. One of the standout for Coventry, and obviously the stats speak for themselves, but he's a all-rounded player. He can provide assists, he can bag goals, And I think he would improve a lot of Premier League teams, especially those that are after an attacking midfielder. Not linked with anyone yet. Maybe that's not too surprising considering the fact that obviously, you know, he's only been at Coventry for 12 months. But I do think if he is sold, they will make one hell of a profit on the £1 million that they've got him for from obviously Brighton. So there's 2 more players to go. One obvious one, one not so obvious one. But let's go into the obvious one. Of course, I'm talking about Lewis O'Brien from Huddersfield Town. And I think it's only a matter of time before someone comes in for him because he's just simply too good for the Championship. Again, he's been linked with a number of teams. West Ham have piped up. Crystal Palace have been mentioned, Leeds as well. All 3 are looking to add to the midfield this season, it is believed. I think he would be fantastic signing for all 3 of them. I really do. Obviously, a Huddersfield Town player. Would it go down well if he went and moved to Leeds? Obviously, Huddersfield, not massive fans of Leeds. Let's just put it that way. Obviously, being Yorkshire rivals. Could he go to another club? Could he go to Leeds? That is the question. One thing that I am certain of, though, is that Lewis O'Brien should be playing in the Premier League next season because he just commands the midfield. He really does. And I just think he's too good for the Championship, to be honest. If Huddersfield keep hold of him, again, I think they'll really be pushing on next season. And, of course, the last player that I'm going to speak about, of course, brother of Joe Willock, of course, talking about Chris Willock of QPR. I think this is the one that will probably get the most, I don't know, maybe hit back on, but this is just a personal opinion for me. You know, he got 7 goals and 11 assists last year. I just really enjoyed watching him play. I did. And this one's maybe a touch questionable of whether he's at the level of the Premier League, but I would really like to see him at least get a chance to see if he is at that level. The former Arsenal graduate obviously has spent his time now at QPR. They'll want to keep hold of him. They really will. And this could be one that, again, I don't think stories are going to come up instantly. But as the transfer window progresses, I wouldn't be surprised if he does maybe get linked with a Premier League club or 2. I believe he was linked with a couple of clubs back in January. So guys, let me know what you think. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and also please subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Let me know, have I missed anyone out? Is there anyone obvious that I've missed out? I did want to put Harry Toffolo in, but I thought it was getting a bit too Huddersfield based, and of course I said I wanted to keep it to 10 players. But if I missed anyone else out, let me know. This is just my opinion. Is there anyone that you disagree with as well? And make sure to check out some videos in the future because we will be back with more transfer talks. Keep you updated with all latest transfers as well as other general football content. So hopefully I'll see you on another video. Take care and goodbye.